Shalom, my friends, from here in the Holy Land. So many people have been asking me, Yael, what is the secret to Jewish survival and the ability for the Jewish people to thrive even when there's such hard things going on? And I'll tell you the secret. The secret is pretty simple. It's that the Jewish people refuse to be victims, even though we have every reason to feel like victims. Let me give you a few numbers to show you what I mean. Before the Holocaust, there were around 16.7 million Jews around the world. Now, 6 million of those Jews were killed in the Holocaust. Today, we haven't even reached that number of global Jews. We're only at around 15.6 million Jews. We still haven't reached the number of Jews around the world as there was before the Holocaust, and still, we refuse to be victims. Israel is the only Jewish country. Around 8 million Jews in Israel. We're surrounded by 300 million Muslims. And yet, we refuse to be victims. Israel is the one Jewish state with 22 Arab states. And still, we refuse to be victims. The past year, over a year, tiny Israel, the size of New Jersey, has been attacked by 7 different armies and terror groups. Tiny Israel, attacked by 7 different fronts. And yet, we still refuse to be victims. We choose to live life with hope, with faith, with resiliency. When you give into victimhood, you give up. The Jewish people never give up, no matter what. We fight for our values, we fight for life, and we fight for faith. And I saw that so clearly yesterday, when 4 girls who were kidnapped on October 7th from Israel were released by Hamas terrorists. They've been held in captivity for over 470 days. And before they were handed back to Israel, Hamas terrorists took them out and paraded them on the streets. There were thousands of Palestinians there waving Hamas flags and wearing hoods and covering their faces, carrying rifles. It was a very scary scene to see. And what did these 4 Jewish girls do? They smiled and they waved. It was their sign of resilience. Of even after being held hostage for over 470 days, they refused to be victims. They insisted on having their own hope and showing their own faith and showing their own positivity. It was a scene that I was tearing watching them and their resiliency. It's this refusal of the Jewish people to be a victim. We are always put in front of us life and death, and God tells us to choose life. With that mentality, there's always hope. There's always work to be done. And when we do the work, God blesses it. The main thing is not to fall into despair, not to fall into victimhood, but to always realize if I am still here in this world right now, it's because God has a calling on my life. What do you think about that?